Alright, yes guys, welcome to the trade recap of the trade that I took today on Monday 16th of June that secured me 16.5k in profit. Yes, today there was no news, however, we managed to catch a clean opportunity for shorts inside of the lunch macro. So let's get straight into it and let's break down why I took this trade. Okay, so going into the AM session, a lot of people were asking, why didn't I take a short at 9:47 AM? Well, so the reason why I didn't actually take a short at this point, I run every single one of my trades off a checklist and certain requirements must take place in order for a trade to be valid for me to take it. One of the requirements itself is a fair value gap on both NQ and ES, and you guys can see here on ES there is no fair value gap. That's the first point missing from this trade. The second point is that it also lacks a displacement, so I need a displacement on both NQ and ES, and on ES we have not displaced, we have no fair value gap. However, I was still looking for shorts, but when I seen this disregarded the trade, therefore I can't take it and I avoided this trade. That's the answer to a few of you guys' question about why didn't I take a short in the first day of macro. That is exactly why. The only trade that I seen valid and worthwhile today was this trade inside of the lunch macro at 11:45 AM to 12:15. So let's get straight into it. Going into the AM session, I had an overall daily bearish bias. So let's determine bias here on the daily time frame. So starting on the daily time frame each day, I understand where is the next daily candle likely to draw to. So by looking at the daily, you can see previously we've traded into a bearish imbalance. The most recent imbalance we've traded into is this bearish one here. This bullish one has been inversed and it's no longer valid and you can't look for this to get respected. Therefore, we're looking to see that we're trading out of a daily bearish imbalance. So I'm going to take a bearish bias on the daily time frame. Now, let's take a look at the 4-hour time frame. Let me just put this back real quick because it's actually jumped forward on us. I don't know why TradingView does this on the backtesting side of TradingView, but it likes to jump forward and you can't look at higher time frames. Okay, so by looking at the 4-hour time frame here, you can very much see the 4-hour bearish gap got inversed. Therefore, the draw is to where? Well, the draw is going to be the next high. Have a look at the next high. Has that been taken? Yes or no? Yes, it has. So now we've met the draw on the 4-hour. Therefore, the 4-hour is no longer bullish because we've now met the draw of buy side, which was the high created on Thursday. Therefore, the 4-hour bias is now going to be 50-50. It's neutral. We don't know whether it's going to draw lower or higher. So the daily's bearish, the 4-hour is neutral. Now let's take a look at the hourly time frame and see if we have some sort of bias on the hourly time frame. Okay, so now taking a look at the hourly time frame, you can see that we have an unfilled hourly bullish gap resting below after taking that point of buy side. Therefore, the overall draw on the hourly time frame is going to be bearish towards the unfilled hourly bullish gap. Therefore, supporting our overall daily bearish bias, we now have the daily is bearish, the hourly is bearish, and the 4-hour is neutral. So overall bias so far is currently bearish. Now let's take a look at the 15-minute time frame and see whether our bias is supported on the 15-minute as well. Okay, so by looking at the 15-minute time frame, you guys can clearly see here that we're currently in a 15-minute bullish gap. Therefore, the bias on the 15-minute we're going to take to be bullish. Also, bearing in mind, we do have an unfilled 15-minute bullish gap both here and here, which is going to be an overall draw for price to seek discount of this move higher. But currently, we're going to assume the fair value gap is respected unless it gets disrespected. So we'll take a bullish bias on the 15. Still, our overall bias sits as bearish, as you guys can see with our current results. So dropping down to the lower time frame going into this macro, you guys can see we've had a valid shift in market structure on both NQ and ES. NQ took out the short-term high and it didn't get taken out on ES. So what's that going to be? That's now going to be a bearish SMT on ES paired with a bearish breaker with this fair value gap. Price trades back up into this fair value gap many times, and then as we get inside of macro at 11:45, as you guys know, our entries are only inside of macro, not before, not after, inside of macro. At 11:45 AM, when price gave an entry off the gap, I took an entry short. As you guys can see here, this fair value gap is not a standard fair value gap. This is going to be a breakaway gap. This candle caused displacement and it also created a fair value gap, hence why they call it a breakaway gap. I ran my stop placement at the wicks high of the breakaway gap for 19.75 handles, and I'm looking for the closest 1-minute low to give me a 2-to-1. So the first 1-minute low in this case to give me a 2-to-1 is going to be this point of sell side, hence why I closed out fully once the objective was met on ES. So let's fast forward price. As you guys already know, the 5-minute on this trade is perfectly fine. However, on the 15-minute, at the time of entry, which was at this level here, we wasn't actually inside of a 15-minute bullish gap. Only after, as you can see here, TradingView's jumped forward on us. That it says it's jumped into a 15-minute bullish gap, but it wasn't actually in a 5-minute or a 15-minute bullish gap, hence why this trade is going to be A+. I ended up taking this with half size size, just considering the fact that we've been inside of this fair value gap for quite a while. So I took this trade with 6 contracts on my live account, and then I also took this on my Top Step live account and also on my FTMO account as well. I'm currently looking to scale up with other prop firms such as My Funded Futures, Alpha Futures, and Take Profit Trader. I'm not affiliated with any of these prop firms. I'm just considering them for myself and reaching out to people who have currently already been paid out with these type of prop firms. And then I'm going to shortly scale up with these prop firms. So we caught an entry for price. Let's fast forward price as of now. Once we go ahead and take this short-term low, we're going to head towards break even. And then when we take the first short-term low, we're then going to actually trail our stops to the previous short-term high. Okay, so price heads up, goes for that previous short-term high, takes buy stops, and now you can see price has started to accelerate lower. When we took that first short-term low, I trailed my stops to this short-term high, minimizing risk from 20 handle stop to 10. I halved my overall risk on this trade, and then when we took the second short-term low, that's immediately when I went to break even on this trade. And there you have it. So this candle, if you actually correspond it over to ES, you can see the low that we're looking to target, which is the same on ES, got taken by this candle. Therefore, what's that going to mean? That's going to be a bullish SMT on NQ going against your trade now. If ES takes the objective, that means on NQ, you must be closed out and fully done with this trade. Therefore, I closed out of this trade at this area for around a 36 handle gain for Monday. That was the best case scenario for coming out of Monday with no red folder news. And we'll be back tomorrow to see what price has to offer. If you guys find these trade recaps useful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel and comment what you want to see inside of the next video coming out shortly on this channel. And until tomorrow, I'll speak to you guys shortly. Have a great rest of your day.